Welcome to this session on Chapter 9, Class 12, Beekeeping. This is a part of the lesson called Strategies for Enhancement in Food Production. As we have been discussing, in India, population is increasing, our needs are changing, our habits are changing, our lifestyles are changing. So many changes are happening in our own eyes. I am now 83 years old. When I was a student in the school, we used to get honey for the medicinal purposes in small bottles. But today, we see honey is being sold in markets in large bottles, including 1 liter, 5 liter, etc. That means the consumption of honey has been increased to a great extent. The reasons for that is the education people have got it and the knowledge we required from the basic sciences, in which honey is said to have a large number of medicinal use. Therefore, honey seems to be a very important uh, food aspect in our country. We shall see how honey is being produced in large quantities. Well, children will start with the uh, idea about the life cycle of the honey bee. The honey bee is normally seen in almost all the areas where flowers like sunflower, apple plants, and etc. are there. And these honey bees have got a life cycle. Let's try to know. They belong to the group of insects. The queen bee, there are three types of bees. The normally we come across the queen, the drone, and the worker bee. All these three types of bees will be seen in doing the work, that is collecting honey. Queen bee takes 16 days from the egg stage to the form the adult. The worker bee takes 18 to 22 days. The drone bee takes 24 days to complete the life cycle, that is from egg to the adult bee. There are at least 16,000 species of bees over the world. In India, about 5 to 6 species are used for producing honey in the industries. So we just have learned that bee belongs to the class of insecta it is called, and there are 16,000 species all over the world. And beekeeping is one of the oldest practices. In the earlier days, like in the wartime, Russia and all the countries used to use honey to heal the wounds of the soldiers. So honey has a medicinal value. It is known from time immemorial. We shall look into the details of how honey is now being used in the industry, in the industrial products, how bee farming takes place, how to keep bees, how to rear them, how to cultivate them, and the that particular science of there is a science of maintaining and cultivating bees. We shall look into that. Now, beekeeping is almost a science and also art. Beekeeping is known by the name apiculture. It is the maintenance of beehives for the production of honey. Earlier, it was a cottage industry, that means small homes or in small villages, small number of honey bees were kept for producing honey. But today, it has become a big industry. There are so many industries producing tons of honey for various types of human consumption. And therefore, honey keeping beekeeping industry has become one of the most important industries in our country. And we find its use in indigenous system medicines called Ayurveda. It is used in allopathic activities. It is used by common man for a number of diseases. I was doing a research just today in the Google. I find out that the number of uses that the honey can be used in the medicine would be, it seems, used in the treatment of eye diseases, throat infections, asthma, tuberculosis, hiccups, hepatitis, worm infestations, constipation, piles, eczema, healing of wounds, and as a natural supplement, and also in cosmetic industry. That means we can almost name every disease that can be cured by honey, but we must know how to use it. I also found out the research while doing research in the Google that the honey contains a large number of molecules. Some of them, for example, acetic acid, butonic acid, formic acid, citric acid, succinic acid, lactic acid, malic acid, pyroglutamate acid, and so many other types of molecules. That means honey seems to be a very naturally produced material for a large number of diseases. We have to explore the possibility of how to make use of honey. You are all youngsters, try to do research on that area. As we are advancing in India, there is an increased demand of honey, and that has led to the large scale production of honey producing industries. It has become established as an income generating industry. Today, most of the industries are used not only in the larger fields, in the farming areas, also in large number of houses where women are employed to use and produce honey using the beehives, though it has become an industry of wealth making actually. Beekeeping can be practiced in any area, as it says. It may be a small area. Yes, small area is enough to produce a large amount of honey. There are sufficient bee pastures of some. Wild pastures refers to the area where bees can have their food. Their food is the nectar. Nectar comes from the plants, and the plants are grown in the fields. So many fields where for example, sunflower plants, and then the chrysanthemum plants, and so many other types of plants where flowers are produced for the production. Today we have seen tons of flowers are being produced every day, every night. I am also surprised to see in my own home a small jasmine plant is there that will produce a minimum of 1 kg of flower every day, morning and evening half a kg each. You can understand the amount of biological activity the plants can do. If you have got a big acre of land, you can see how many flowers are produced. In such area is called the pasture. In that area, honey can be reared, cultured, and that's where the hives are kept. And there are wild shrubs, fruit orchards, cultivated crops. All these are the areas which are today utilized by large industries to produce honey. There are several species of honeybees which can be reared, but of these, the most important and the common type of the species in our country is called Apis indica. As the name indicates, Apis indica is a species of honeybee that is seen in India. Let's try to know little more about the how to handle the beehives and how to extract honey from the hives. We will now go just to look at one or two diagrams I have given here. One is a single honey bee seen taking the nectar from a plant flower. Second one is the beehive kept in a small area. So beehives can be kept in one's courtyard or in large numbers in the agricultural fields, and even we can keep it in the uh, house, but the only thing is it is labor intensive. It requires a lot of care to be taken, and also sometimes bees are mostly dangerous when they get angry or disturbed. Therefore, honey to produce honey, keeping bees in the home may not be useful unless we know how to handle the honey bees. Bees are mostly dangerous. There are instances when people died by getting the stings of bee stings. So we will not venture on that, but we shall see some of those things, how we can do it, what are the precautions we have to take for maintaining bees. Well, I told about the beekeeping. Beekeeping requires specialized knowledge, and there are several organizations in our country that can help us if you want to earn money from beekeeping and producing honey. I have just shown two diagrams where a wild type of the bees or made their comb. It's called the honeycomb, where inside the honeycomb the honey is stored. The second one is the man-made one, where the cultivating and growing of the bees will take place, and they will produce honey in the combs. We shall look into the special area called what is the special knowledge we require to maintain the bee hives. We shall look into that one. Well, I have listed here two. There are 4 to 5 more important ideas we should know about the knowledge that we have to know to maintain the beehives or rearing the bee. One is the knowledge and nature of the habit of bees. Especially, you have to select a suitable location where to keep the beehives. As I told you, they are very dangerous. I have seen in my own eyes once when I was teaching in Africa, in East Africa, in a place called Tanzania, that's a city called Madui. There was a very huge bee hive, natural one, on the tank. Uh, One day, a boy threw a stone on that, and the bees made a big line. I could see, even now remember, a big line almost about 50 feet. And they, one by one, they came and attacked that boy, and that boy got stings all over the body. He was hospitalized, and it took nearly 1 month for him to get rid of that particular formic acid that has been injected into the body. Therefore, you must know where to maintain the beehives. Second is catching and hiving of swarms, that is group of bees. When once you keep the bees, you will get a large swarms of them. They make big sound and start coming, and they will be very active. You must know how to catch them, how to hold them, and how to manage them during different seasons. These are the two. There are two of the main specialized knowledge I have shown you. Some more I will tell you in the next page. Yes, I told you a little story about what happened in Tanzania. Now, two important ideas I have given there. There are two more important ideas here: handling and collection of honey. Also, how to collect the honey from the combs, how to squeeze it, whether to squeeze it or to do any other method, we have to find out. To see all those things, maybe if you go to YouTube, there are so many videos that will explain about the extraction of honey from the combs. You can look into that one. And when once the honey is extracted, you get the bee wax. And bee wax is also very important for a number of industries. You must know what to do with that. Bees are also pollinators. You know, the most important pollinating agent are the bees. When once these bees enter into a field, they visit several flowers. When one bee may visit more than 100 flowers to collect the nectar, because flowers will produce nectars in a very small amount, and the nectars are collected by bees, and while doing so they cross pollinate the plants like flower, brassica, apple, and pear, etc. Now, as a student of biology, you should know how the nectar is converted into honey in the body of the bee. We shall look into that also as a research area. Well, we have just made some 3 or 4 important special knowledge we require to take care of the beehives. And keeping beehives in crop fields during flowering period increases pollination. This also is special knowledge. You can only learn these things, but you want to really practice the rearing of the bee, then you should be able to know which place you have to select, whether you can go and hire a contract basis, a place where flowers are grown. You can use your knowledge to keep your beehives there, so that there will be an integrated farming taking place. Both pollination takes place and also honey will be produced, and that is called integrated farming. So if you are interested in that, you must be able to explore the possibilities. Maybe in about 6 to 7 months, you can earn a lot of money. You can do it as a part of your part-time job if you are really a student who loves to work with biological activities like maintaining the farmyards, or something like that. If your career you would like to pursue in the agriculture, start doing small projects from right now. There are many agencies. If you look into the YouTube, or you look into Google, search it out for careers in beekeeping, you will get it. Therefore, I will not discuss much on that. It's only, since there are introductory lessons here, I'm giving you brief ideas what you can do and what it will help you to make your career. Well, I have just given you 4 images just to make sure that you understand them. Only one bee is shown in one of the diagrams, and such bees will collect in a large numbers, and they make their own homes by their own activity, by their own biological produce, and that is called the beehives. In each hive is a small room-like structure for a single bee. See, look at, they got a highly private room for them. In the third figure, I have shown you 1, 2, 3, 4 hives are there, in where eggs are kept, and eggs are protected. And eggs will become larva, will become pupa, will become adult, and then it becomes a bee. So these animals have got highly intelligent animals, and they say that they are always busy. Therefore, people sometimes say, "Bee, keep yourself busy like a bee." And the bee is also a very intelligent organism. And if at all, if you want to go to genetics, find out what kind of genes are there in the bee, which will make the bee to produce honey from the nectar it has collected. It collects nectar from different sources, and they may have different combination of sugars. All that will be converted into a homogeneous type of honey. How it is done, what kind of genetic expression takes place, what kind of genes will participate, what kind of functional expression takes place, are all the important areas for you to remember. As I've been telling, Don't read these things only for the examination purpose. Try to learn something from these things and have an idea or have a wish to go for a higher level studies in these areas. I would say if you take up the studies of the genetics of the bee, then you will be progressing much in terms of medication. There may be possible medication because if you keep the honey for even for 25 days or 1 month or 6 months or 1 year or 2 years outside the refrigerator, honey will not go bad. But if you keep the fruit, if you keep the milk, curds, anything, that will go bad in no time. Honey will not go bad. So what are the chemicals that it contains? Now these are the areas where I think you have to concentrate and learn. Forget about your 12th standard examination. You may pass the examination, but try to learn these things so that you go to higher level of genetics, find out the genome of the indica, and see there may be a large number of researchers, but we do not know. But you have to get interest and start working on that. I hope you will do that after listening to my little talk on this particular beekeeping. We are almost coming to the end of this particular topic, and just for your examination purpose or for your regular study purpose, you may have to know what is the meaning of apiculture and importance of apiculture. Try to understand that. And you also have to know the life cycle of bee. At least remember, bee is an insect and it has 4 stages like any other insect would be having it. The egg, the larva, pupa, and the adult. It may take from 16, 18, or 22 days depending upon the type of the bee. We can increase or decrease the life cycle by changing the conditions or by doing some external factors. We can alter that. You also should know what is the meaning of integrated farming of honey. I told you earlier, when you think of making it a big way, you have to just go to a field where different flowers are produced for marketing purposes. Especially, I have seen tons and tons of sunflower, roses, chrysanthemum, and jasmine are all produced in larger areas. And in such area, if you can place your bee farming activity, then there will be that's called integrated. The plenty of flowers will be available for nectar for the honeybees to go and collect it, and the flowers get pollinated also. So both are possible. Such a thing is called integrated farming. If you don't own a field, at least you can make a contract. At least find out how to do these things because today industries are becoming far economically oriented and you will be able to earn quite a big amount of money from these things. And thirdly, I am asking two important questions which textbooks are not given. You may have to find out from the Google. Do bees get diseases? Do they have any diseases? Find out. Which enzyme converts nectar into honey? Honey contains a large number of molecules which are other than the sugar or the sugary nectar. How are these nectar converted into the honey which contains large number of molecules which are antiseptic in nature, antibiotic in nature? Okay, we will stop here. I hope this little talk will help you to stimulate not to read these subjects, whatever given in biology of the class 12, only to pass the examination. I am repeating this. I am quite interested if you can think of the areas where you can go for your research apart from your MBBS or engineering course. There are genetic engineering courses, there are applied biology courses, There are technological courses where you can do a lot of research. If you want to separate the genes from the Apis indica honeybee and find out its genome, can you apply it for any other medical purposes? Can you produce any molecules? Can you produce any molecules in the form of either in the form of drink or in the form of say tablets? All this you can find out by studying this one. I will end this. I wish you all the good, and everyone, please try to read your textbook once before you go to the examination or your test. I have come to the end of this particular session. My credits and my uh, acknowledgement to NCRT, their textbook I use for the content. I use Google to do little research on this area. I've taken a few images in the Creative Commons and YouTube for publishing this particular clip. I'll be thankful to you if you do more research, collect more ideas, find out whether you can do any project during your holidays. That would be more useful to you for your career. Thank you.